So an absolute info dumpload has just been released for ARK's future by developer studio Wildcard in a recent meant to be closed, conference with investors for Snell Games. Presented by co-founder Jeremy Stieglitz, this began with celebrating their success after 4 million copies sold, their content DLC, Fantastic Times and collabs, and then went into Lost Colony and what to expect following with a roadmap. And brace yourself. But first, Lost Colony. There was a brief announcement of a ton of new features and story, but a massive surprise reveal that you'll be able to recruit computer-controlled NPCs to your tribe as a very first for base vanilla ARK. What exactly these are going to be able to do in your tribe, who knows yet? Are they going to simply just be able to defend or attack, or are they going to have like Palworld style abilities to maintain your base, like Survivor Mate? Are they going to upkeep of your base? Are you going to need them to defend your base against NPCs? Because it turns out you'll be able to definitely be raiding NPC enemy bases as well. And yeah, we kind of knew that one already, but the fact you can recruit NPCs alone is insane. It's a step a lot of people have been asking for a very long time, and it's come in with this map. Very excited. In a couple of days we're going to find out. And before we get to a new trailer that got dropped for that, it was mentioned a brand new partnership with Carl Urban to integrate him into the game, lending his facial features. Not quite clear though exactly just what for. Could it be simply for cinematics, or maybe even these bots themselves are all going to look like Carl Urban? Are we going to have a bunch of Carl Urbans all running around in our base? I kind of like that. I hope we do. That'd be hilarious. And then the trailer that they're planning to release in cinemas during Avatar's screenings. This one noted to be a shorter version of the upcoming full-blown trailer we're going to get on the 18th. And also noting this is in a poorer quality. Jeremy's words were this had to be filmed in 24 frames per second to be compatible with cinema screenings, but we just got a better quality to review and check out and react to in the moment right here, right now. So with a 3, 2, 1. So we get an introduction very similar to the one we've seen so far in previous trailers, with Mika and Helena talking.
There she found.
And then it pushes into our first reveal, our first look at Lost Colony. Wow, wow, wow. With internal areas to look at as well. Some very island-looking biomes there. Some giant frozen vistas to explore with hello confirmed Desmodus. Then an absolute quick barrage of different clips. We're going to break them down piece by piece. We got some blowing out stone wrecks. We got gargoyles on the run. We've got more dragons. There's the Solwyn down there. And a brand new cutscene with Helena facing against someone. Is this an in-game or render? And that is most definitely Mayin right there, as possibly our brand new encounter with the voice lines that we're hearing. To break it down shot by shot, we've got our first look at Arat Prime. We're seeing a giant Colosseum-looking area over there. We can see some sort of monument overshadowing it. I don't know whether that's belonging to the castle or maybe even something maybe even a bit similar to an obelisk. Not too sure. We can see a lot of different architecture, statues, all, I guess, in praising this brand new character, Lost King, on a city built on a giant mountainous peak in the snow somewhere. We can see what looks to be plenty of different symbols, maybe banners. There's bluish and reddish hues all over there. On the right hand side, a bunch of different creatures flying, gargoyle, vampire looking creatures, very similar to the ones we saw in that initial trailer. Most certainly a lot of architecture depicting this Lost King without a doubt. And as we move over to the next shot, which seems to be a close-up of the area we saw in that first shot, we can see what seems to be a lot of people patrolling these areas. Are these possibly the human NPCs we can recruit? It seems like the creatures even are walking in a very static motion. I don't know whether this is for aesthetic trailer purposes. We can see a few frozen statues looking around. We can see a mammoth there on the left, a Serato Rex, a giant head monument of the Lost King out there in the background. Some brand new, very different looking Gothic architecture all around this place, which then snaps to this shot, seemingly way far removed from the area we've seen before, almost looking somewhat reminiscent of the island, with brand new looking foliage, lovely blue flowing waterfalls, and of course creatures. We can see a Gigantoraptor, a Bronto in the background, and hello there, Cryolophosaurus, and creature we was expecting to get at some point. Didn't expect it to come with a brand new map. That definitely looks like the Krylo. Let's just try and get a close look. That is most definitely the Krylo. Yo! Which means we've got possibly a brand new KO tame coming with this map as well. A glorious, lovely welcome indeed. We can see more of these glowy heavenly skies emitting over the area and RG flying by. I wonder if that's the Lost Colony Arat Prime out there way in the background. And then this shot, hello Desmodus. It is now fully blown, confirmed if you didn't know already. It looked like it was pretty obvious we was going to get it. They're there exactly in the flesh as we known from ASE Fjorda. They are here, they're coming, they're returning to ASA. And that means, of course, Sanguine Elixir is most definitely on the cards with these. Wow, wow, wow. Can't wait to see these. With I wonder what more creatures are coming if we're getting the Krylo as well. We can see our first shot of the giant Uraliax. Hopefully that's the right pronunciation this time. And the thing is an absolute beast. Look at the size of this. We can tame this. What? Oh, it looks majestic. There's not too much we can depict because of the low resolution. We can see some form of statue possibly overhanging there at the top of the peak. And then we get our first look at the Gloon, a weird and wonderful creature that definitely does emit some shooty lasers. Like, what is that? Which seems to be in Rockwell's biome, I guess we're calling this. Rockwell's proliferation, no idea yet. Being commanded by somebody wearing that snow armor we've seen in a few screenshots prior to this dropping. And looking forward to seeing what that actually does and what these Gloons are all about. Hypnotizing, most definitely. And then our first look at the Melwins, one of the two evolutions of the Valwyn, looking very mean, very keen, and ridden by not one survivor in the Dark Tech armor we've seen so far, but a brand new armor set we can see as well to the left and right of these. I wonder if these are actual armor sets for our player or NPCs. I'm going to go with possibly a brand new armor set. I don't know, possibly I'm going with that one, and it's a wonder how many more armor sets we're going to get to check out with these. Oh, and they do look ferocious, guarding some area there. This shot in particular is fascinating. We can see a statue of a Rex with red glowy eyes, maybe protecting something, and then boom, breaks out an actual full-blown Rex for us to face. I wonder what this is in reason for. Is it related to some form of mission? Perhaps. Is this how we're going to be wandering into new variants? Because that's a good possibility. Guarding certain areas for you to investigate. Moving into our first shot of these gargoyle-like thralls that are chasing our dude in a snowsuit in some blend of Gothic architecture and snow biome. These things, I wonder if you can tame these, or are these going to be simply hostile NPCs chasing you all around? And then we get our first shot. It's very hard to depict, but our very first shot of the Soulwinds down there, the other variation, the other evolution of Valwynds, being ridden by 4 characters, being followed by a Dirty Manor, and somebody also riding the Uraliax. Emitting what seems to be some brand new ability, an ice ring, pushing it behind it as it pursues forward, and our definitely agile, mobile Soulwind variants running down below it. And then we transition into a cutscene of Helena talking, shouting at someone. I'm guessing the Lost King. I don't think this marries up to this shot here. I think this here is our interaction with Mei Yin as our final boss. I'm still placing my money on Mei Yin being the final boss, and that is some wonderful armor. She even says the words trespassers. She doesn't say Helena, so she must be referring to us surely as this boss encounter towards the end. Dual wielding some blade type weapons that look mean and keen. Blades of Olympus, god of war style. Are we going to be seeing fighting in that sort of regard with Mei Yin, who's also supporting some draconic-like wings as well? I really do feel like we're going to get possibly, I know it was kind of out there when I first suggested to it, but possibly some Souls-like fight with this character, with Mei Yin, in her brand new, wicked-looking armor set. Wow. Which then closes out to the Lost King and Giga Desmodus shots that we've seen before. A lot to unpack with that one, and remember, once again, that is still not the complete full-blown trailer that we're going to be seeing tomorrow. So look forward to seeing what else we're going to find out in that one. Indefinitely a better quality version than the one we've seen here today. And then the big one, and boy oh boy, Jeremy didn't just reveal his plans for 2026, but also 2027 with a lot of brand new logos you're seeing there. Kicking off with their Q1 reveal, they're going to return to survival of the fittest. What? For the third time, they're going to attempt to bring this back once again. This time being made by Studio Sirens, who made Aquatica for ASE. And I love to hear that hopefully this was the case that happened, that after, well, let's say challenging development of that ASE map, hopefully Wildcard saw the talents behind the team there and decided to employ them to work on this SOTIF update. Is it going to be just an integral DLC part to Ascended or a separate game altogether? It's not quite clear what the plan is there. If it's being made by Studio Sirens, I get the feeling it might be a separate game, but it is going to be offered as a fully fledged feature with an esports-like service. Those were Jeremy's words. I really hope this is a big one, a real pursuit to make that SOTIF that fans have been yearning for since it kind of faded away in that first iteration. This is going to be that very moment for it returning, and hopefully I guess we'll hear something about that one soon, seeing that it's going to be released in Q1. Then in Q2 we've got Bob's True Tales Tides of Fortune tied in with Genesis Part 1, with not too much mention about this apart from it being a pirate themed DLC, which a lot of people speculated could be the case, seeing that we're going to get a brand new giant explorable water biome surrounding the entire map. And of course there's a lot of things down in the depths to fight, and I wonder how many Atlas influence structures are going to be with this content, right? We already knew there was going to be a Bob's True Tales DLC coming with Gen 1 and 2, or we alluded it was going to be with Gen 1 and 2. We knew there's going to be a True Tales expansion, and it seems that this is part one of the two pieces, with it being completely pirate themed. Guess cannons, ships at the ready. How much more Atlas inspired content are we going to see? I guess we'll find out with that one when that arrives in Q2, as it's being dated, followed by in Q3 ARK World Creators, a surprising reveal considering the procedural generation we originally got with ASE, which, let's be honest, didn't quite hit the mark. It didn't get developed further than it originally did. But this one's going to be a fully fledged DLC piece to allow you to make content inside the game rather than the dev kit that all of the modders make all of these cool modded content for us. You're going to be able to make that stuff in the game yourself to, in Jeremy's words, unlock player creativity to make maps and content inside ARK and share to other players. Is it going to be treated as exactly like mods? I wonder if that's going to be the route there. Are they going to perhaps offer a new CurseForge window for these new content pieces to be there? But the fact you're going to have the opportunity to make maybe a limited version of what you can do in the dev kit within the game is a very promising opportunity. Maps alone, map creativity within the game, considering the complexities of making maps within the dev kit, could be a major move for ARK, and we're going to be seeing that in Q3, followed by, at the end of 26, a possible brand new map or content piece called ARK Dragontopia, with the only words offered with that. I wonder what that's about. Speculating, it could be either, look, players love dragons, they've always been a mainstay within ARK, you all love your wyverns, and we're going to get some very Draconis based offering of that in the future. Is it going to be a full-blown dragon themed map with new dragon variants to tame, dragon bosses in a dragon themed world? A very surprise reveal, but not as surprising as the start of 27 initiating in Q1 ARK Atlantis, with Jeremy saying, gonna be fun. It's very obviously gonna be some transitional way of them delivering Aquatica. I don't doubt that for a second. They're never gonna call that Aquatica because of the bad press that got, but frankly there's a lot of players out there that have said, can we get some version of Aquatica for ASA? And I guess the devs are listening to that one. And the good thing with this one, it's being made by Wildcard. Everything you're seeing here is being made and supported by Studio Wildcard, considering it was Jeremy at the helm announcing all of this. So the issues we had with a separate company making it in the very short time they had, and being completely pushed and funded by, frankly, a team that didn't understand the ARK IP, is an intriguing prospect for a map I know a lot of players out there have wanted for a very long time, since way back before even Aquatica, a fully fledged underwater themed map. I do wonder how this one will be delivered in a breathtaking refresh on how to do Aquatica right. And then following in Q2 of 27 is Bob's True Tales Galaxy Wars, which is one announcing a quite substantial delay for Genesis Part 2. We're not going to be seeing that until Q4. It could be probably midway through the year by the time we get that. There must be a reason why. But when we do, we're getting spaceship battling. We guess this, we assume this, we hope for this. We're going to get large capital ships and starfighters all fighting in the void of space surrounding the Genesis ship, which ties into Jeremy's Q&A answers recently that said there was going to be a giant explorable space around the ship with this time around of Genesis Part 2. You're going to get to do full-blown Star Wars fights. And I'm on board for that, but not quite as on board for what's going to be revealed in Q4, Legacy of Santiago. This is a very curious content piece indeed, as it's going to be set inside ARK Ascended as a prequel to ARK 2 that ties into that narrative of the player Santiago as we follow in his footsteps to understand how he got to where he is in the planet of Arat. The question is this going to be actually set on the planet Arat where ARK 2 is going to be, or are these going to be telling the stories of Santiago prior to those events? There's a lot of things that happened with that character prior to. It could be set on a pre-exploded Aberration where we get to explore that version of Aberration before it got turned into the one that we know today, because if you don't know, in the lore they blew up the Overseer and then it completely changed, transforms what that map was. Could it be set even prior to that during their tech wars where Santiago was knee-deep hacking the system in a war-torn Earth? Or could it actually be that, preluding some limited area to explore on the planet of Arat? I don't quite like that. I think that whatever's going to be staged on the planet of Arat should be that ARK 2 with its own brand new graphics engine and whatnot that is going to be delivering. It's all going to be in the same continuity if you're on that planet. I don't like the idea of having some split version of Ascended of the planet of Arat on Ascended. Doesn't make sense to me. I feel like if we're going to be doing this and showcasing more of Santiago's story, surely it would be set prior to and more linked with Earth and all the ARK Ascension stuff that's happened there. But there is a part 1 of part 2, which means there's a lot of story to flesh out there, and how exactly it's going to be delivered, who knows. It does seem like that Jeremy wants to try and toy with a few more ideas for playing with ideas planned for ARK 2, so could possibly be on that map. I really think it could be one or the other, and I'd love to hear your ideas below in the comments there. And then to close out, I know as we saw in our live stream comments that everybody was saying, where the hell is Fjorda, Lost Island and Crystal Isles? Don't panic there. This was purely a presentation for investors, so those 3 maps being free maps wouldn't be getting any mention there, alongside of course Gen 1 and Gen 2. Those have been added to the base game as free content as well. It's just the paid content this was all about. It was demonstrating what's upcoming for investors to invest. When of course those maps arrive, maybe it'll be revealed in some actual full-blown public viewing roadmap from the team at the end of the year, as they've done last year. And it's a bit of a shame this actually got out and done the rounds. I'm sure Wildcard aren't too happy about this, and hopefully I don't get told off for sharing this, but the word's out, everybody's going to be covering this and the mothers, so I got to get ahead of the game and try and talk about this myself. A lot of exciting stuff in the future. The Ascended revival of previous maps is kind of feeling like we're transitioning out of and welcoming in a plethora of new different ideas, content and maps for a wondrous future for ARK Ascended. I'm excited about this. Are you? Comment below, let me know. Until the next one, my name's Raasclark. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and as always, peace out.